welcome back to It's Olivia's World. I'm here with Liz, and I'm Olivia, so Liz will introduce herself.
Hi, my name's Liz. I am a TikTok, I don't like the word creator very much. I'm just me, I'm just Liz. But I am creating content to help people on TikTok who need support to claim or what am I going to say? Oh, this happens to me all the time. I lose my train of thought. Um,
Out so it can
claim
so much into one.
Yeah, so it can they might need help to make a claim or to appeal a decision or to write a mandatory reconsideration or anything generally that people don't understand about PIP. I'm there to make them more aware and help them through the process. It is not fit for purpose.
So what is PIP to those people that people don't, in case people don't know, see I stutter all the time, so it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So personal independence payment is a disability benefit for anyone who has a disability, health condition, or illness. And there is certain eligibility criteria. However, PIP is very different to your means tested benefits. And when I say means tested, I mean your universal credit, your tax credits, your child tax credits, your income support, your JSA, your ESA, your DLA. It's completely separate to anything like that, housing benefit and council tax reduction. It's separate for a reason because it's specifically for people with disabilities who need that extra help financially every month to live the life that they deserve. That
Definitely.
is what PIP is for.
So what do you think that the benefit system needs to change or should change? I know that's going to be quite a long
It needs a complete overhaul. I'm just going to solely focus on personal independence payment for this question because the rest of it is a completely different. I don't even know. I don't even. It's like a jigsaw puzzle of 10 million pieces all jumbled up into a big pile on the floor. That's what that benefits. The whole benefit system is. So, but I take PIP out of that because it is the benefit that is specifically for disabled people. We have rights, and that process from start to finish is not. This is really hard to say without swearing, so I probably will
No,
swear.
it's fine. Just
um, it just it makes people feel so dehumanized, and
yeah.
fact that you've got to prove what is wrong with you, and then you are judged by somebody who decides on your condition and your difficulties whether they think you can do an activity or not. The judgment, the wording, for a start, the whole view of disability from DWP's side of it needs to change. They need educating.
Massively.
All the staff there will have had some sort of training. We know that. Um,
Rotations.
yes, we know that they've had training, but I think the most important training any person working that side of it they need um, people, people on people training. They need to learn how to treat people with an ounce of respect would be nice if you've got a disability.
I was actually kind of going to make a joke of they need a group like what they've tried to do for us of people with communication difficulties. They need that group.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I just would like to see the application form Um, I would like to see massive changes in that. I, I like the fact that they think they provide a holistic approach. That's what they think the process is, and that's how they covertly ask you trick questions. I call them trick questions because
They
they
are
put that under holistic approach. And I say that and people laugh.
no,
Um, and I say, yeah, that is how they've gotten away with it. They've put that under their holistic approach. And it needs to be challenged because that isn't a holistic approach. Having to prove what you've got wrong with you, um,
yeah.
answering a question that has got absolutely nothing to do with your disability. Like, well, how often do you change your knickers?
Uh,
Those kind of questions, absolutely not necessary.
I think
And
it's just awful because when I first applied for PIP as an adult, because obviously when I was a child it was DLA, which is
yeah,
disabled living allowance, and I had help from outside sources and also my mum who
yeah,
knew my conditions, even though that I was undiagnosed, technically autistic.
yeah,
Then my mum knew my prior conditions, and I have like years of anxiety on my medical records,
yeah,
and processing disorders. It's just it didn't link up because I'm a woman on the spectrum, um, which is I've managed to mask it somehow for 21 years, even though I think it's blatantly obvious of certain things that I do. Um,
yeah,
but they only gave me a score on one for communication, even though it's a communication difficulty. Yes, I am. I can speak to people, but they don't see me when I have selective mutism, but it's not selective mutism, it's overwhelmed mutism from
yeah,
different environments and
yeah,
depending on who I'm speaking to.
yeah.
Uh, they don't see me go through that. And so they scored me one on communication and then they scored me two on my eyes because I wear glasses. And they scored me nothing on everything else. And even though I had the full autism diagnostic, I had
Yeah,
my mobility diagnostic, I've got my dyslexic and everything else that
yeah,
goes with autism. I
yeah,
unfortunately have, and I sent everything to them and they still refused. And mine
yeah.
to court tribunal, and thankfully I won. Um, but it's still stressful going through it when you have processing disabilities and
And I think that is one of the major things that needs to be looked at. Genuinely disabled people are having to go to court
mm,
to prove this. And I think there needs to be something different about the end of the system,
well,
like having to prove something to the DWP when, you know, if you've supplied all the evidence that you possibly can, then I just, I don't think court should have to be something that someone who's vulnerable should be put through.
no, and
It's
it's
being in a courtroom is, it's not nice. I mean, I've been in court several times, not because I've been naughty, just for several different things, and professionally as well.
not
I've been in
no,
court.
I'm joking.
But I've not been naughty, not yet.
You might soon.
But I just don't think that that is necessary. I think court is is too hardcore, and I think something needs to be put in place. And I,
I stutter when I get nervous, so like with certain with certain ways that I am and how I am and mimics, I could be perceived as lying in court because I do that quite a lot of the time and I itch and I scratch and I get thirsty quickly because I get anxious, but they might
Yeah.
think I'm lying about the situation, even though that I'm not lying about the situation. It's just the situation's making me overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I even went in with I didn't go into the courtroom, thankfully, with mine. Mine was over the phone because
Good.
it
Yeah.
I couldn't there's no way that I could cope and
You
my
shouldn't have to. You
no.
shouldn't have to. And I do advise people request telephone, not just for the assessments, but for tribunals as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I recorded mine at the time as well, just in
yeah,
case.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, everyone boohoo's recording, but the thing is, they'll put things down on your assessment that you might not even remember that they stated, but they've twisted.
They
Uh,
do, and they often I get messages. My current inbox on TikTok is I've got 196 message requests. And I get through as many as I can, many as I'm able to in on a daily basis. Um, but I always, always end up with someone asking me about what was said in their assessment report. Like, how do they get away with all these lies, Liz? Why have they said I've got a car and I can drive when I've never had a car? I don't have a driving license. And it's like, and this is why it's so important to record your assessment for PIP, because we we don't know what is actually written down unless we've got evidence of it ourselves.
and you only
And
have to learn the hard way on having to do that because even when I was on like helping my friend with one of hers, I'm gonna keep this person nameless, but she
yeah,
has problems with her bowel and she only got scored one, even though she's got a bowel condition for the lewd needs. And it's just shocking. Like it's just
mm,
and also the misconception on people who are on benefits. You know, the rude comments
yeah.
that you get.
Honestly, you probably have seen, Olivia, the hate comments, the trolls that I get on some of my posts, the comments that are left, like telling me I'm telling people how to cheat the system.
You're not,
Um,
you don't tell people how to cheat the system.
no,
It's the system tries to cheat you. It's the opposite way round.
yeah,
And
yeah. And then I get people saying, why don't you just get off your ass and go and get a job like the rest of us? Us taxpayers are fed up of paying for you lot. And
I saw
do
that
you know
one
what? I keep
day.
quiet. I keep quiet a lot of the time, and I just delete them because I don't want them to upset my audience.
Okay, so I'm going to
And
state this publicly. 85% of people with disabilities, and I know this by facts, are unemployed because of the discrimination and the misinterpretation of what disability is, and they don't want to take the time to hire someone with people with disabilities because it costs them too much money to have them. So
yeah,
we're just a tick box in the system. So yes, they have to have a certain amount of disabled people in the company, but what they do is they make your lives hell and to try and get rid of you.
yes,
I know
yeah,
this personal experience of going through employment, which is why I set up It's Olivia's World in the first place.
yeah,
And my friends have gone through it as well. My friends
yeah.
on the spectrum, my disabled friends, my disabled friend got pushed out of his wheelchair a few months ago because somebody thought he was lying about his disability. He's got spinal dysphoria. I mean, people are
That's
awful.
awful.
Um,
Yeah,
I get so angry about it because particularly
yeah,
I got bullied when I was younger, and I've gotten a strong backbone over the years. I try not to take too much crap from people these days. Uh,
yeah,
people
yeah.
might
No, I understand that.
people
Yeah,
might think I'm
I
young
am
and I push over because I'm in plaits and I look young, but I wouldn't.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like a hidden disability, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the whole problem with everything. It's, I find this on TikTok because I remember when I first opened my account, and I was doing something quite different to what I'm doing now. But I think it must have been about 6 months ago. I had a comment that stuck with me for ages, and I didn't answer it for about a week because I thought it's not worth it. It's not worth it. But then I thought, actually, no, I can't get rid of this comment in my head, which is it's my instinct telling me you need to be addressed. So I'm just going to say it. And this person had said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Look at you. Just get a job. And I just thought, who the hell are you? One, to tell me there's absolutely nothing wrong with me, that I look okay, and that I need to get a job.
You the medical, uh, what gives you the certificate, and what gives you the years of medical? Can't get my words out right now.
Experience, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They're not. Are
experience.
you a medical professional? Who are you to
Yeah, yeah.
tell me that? And I did make a video, and it did go quite far and wide. Um, just giving this person, I told him what for. Put it that way. Um, but it's things like that that get to me. Not very often, but if I address it, I address it. I've learnt to calm down over the years. I'm getting old now, like my tongue tells me I'm old and decrepit.
I think also because obviously I walk, I can talk, and I think that's the misconception of disability.
I
Um,
feel that people think that if you haven't got a wheelchair, there's nothing wrong with you.
I got told I was too pretty to be autistic, and I didn't quite know how to deal with that comment. Won't state on here what I actually said because I don't think it's airable.
No, I can imagine.
Um, I I was out walking my assistant dogs. I've just got her. She's just got her assistant coat.
Yeah,
She's passed all of the tests and what have you.
bless.
And
He's
even
clever.
she is clever, even though legally I'm not supposed to go through a charity, but because it's my first dog, I wanted to go through a charity to get the training to help me with the dog.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, so I can have some form of backup evidence in case
yeah,
somebody has to question me on the street.
yeah, yeah.
And someone was just like, "There's nothing wrong with you. You don't look disabled. Why do you have a service dog?" And I was just like, "I'm not answering that." And my dad just turned around and said, "My daughter's autistic. Can you actually keep your comments to yourself? Because comments like
Yeah.
that can be quite upsetting and hurtful."
I don't understand why people feel the need to judge whether it's out on the street or online. I don't know. I don't know why the people feel they need to stop and make a judgmental comment about something that they can't see.
I think that as this happened in the States, but I think it does happen here as well. There was
Yeah,
this lady that was parked on Disability Bay, and this lady came up and said, "Why the hell are you parked there? You can walk. There's nothing wrong with you," and just ripped up a disability badge and told her to park where everybody else parks just because you don't want to pay for parking. And
yeah.
it's
I
not
tell
about
you what. No, it's not about that. I tell you what. I'll be 100% completely honest with you. Um, because of my PIP award,
mm,
because of the score I got, I'm entitled to a blue badge,
same here.
and I've only just applied for it because I wasn't going to apply for it because I thought there's no point. I won't use it because I'd rather like somebody. I've still got that in my head. I'd rather somebody who had a physical impairment park there. Even I'm not saying that my needs don't matter because they do, but I would give my disabled space to somebody else if needed. Do you know what I mean? It was that thought in my head that, you know, I look okay, so I don't really need it. And
That
it's took me
yes,
6 months to process this, and I've only just applied for it.
that's the only reason why I've not because obviously I have friends with physical disabilities as well as invisible disabilities.
Yeah,
Mm. They do get frustrated when somebody it could have they could have used that space, but there's no
yeah,
space there. I think there should be more disabled parking spaces within a
There
car park.
should be far more disabled parking. I completely agree with you. It's never enough. But yeah, so I've applied for mine, but
The one thing that we need
again,
on our disability team is the fact that we think there should be like different colors of the blue badge. So maybe people with physical
mm,
disabilities can have the front parking spaces to walk,
yeah,
they can walk
yeah,
further, or like a red
yeah,
one for people with invisible disabilities, where they can
yeah,
park closer, but not take
yeah,
the like the car parking spaces where they can walk round quick, like
yeah,
and easier
yeah, yeah,
access. Like
yeah,
there needs to be
yeah.
something in place for everybody with disabilities because invisible disability isn't talked about nearly enough.
No,
And
no,
neither's physical disability either to a certain degree,
no,
but also invisible disability is not understood.
no. It's not. And I think this is where going back to what we were talking to earlier on about changes to PIP. The form itself, whether the questions are so much harder to answer with an invisible mental health condition. I'm going to use that. And, for any other um, fibromyalgia, anything like that, anything that's invisible but incorporates your mind is harder to answer those set questions as they are at the moment. And this is where a lot of people actually don't score points on PIP because the question of um, washing washing and bathing, for instance, can you shower or bath? Most people with a mental health condition will tick yes
Yeah.
without thinking outside of the box, and then they go on to the next question because they don't actually take into account, they're only reading the physical question.
Mm.
It's
See
a
it black and white
physical
and broad.
activity, and this is where a lot of people have learnt a lot from my TikTok channel because I teach people how to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily fair to have to answer in a completely different way to the same set of questions,
No.
if that makes sense. So I think that needs to be looked at, changing the form. I think assessments need to be completely revamped, either not done at all or they are incorporated as part of the form. So
Yeah.
when you have to go through it once, we don't have to do a form, get all the evidence, send it off, then wait and then explain it all again and prove it all again by being questioned like you're on a bloody, I don't know, awful panel of a quiz show that
Yeah.
you've been forced to do. It's because it isn't a pleasant. It's not pleasant.
No. I mean, this is why I wanted you to come on the podcast because of the kind of hate that you do receive just by purely educating people and letting them understand that actually, yes, they are entitled to
Yeah,
PIP. But the questions are just so black and white
yeah.
and they're not diverse enough. But also I am kind of on the other side listening to you on the TikTok going, oh, thank God, finally someone who speaks the truth. And
Oh, thank you.
it's
Yeah,
really hard because people do bullshit a lot of the time around benefits, like fake news around PIP
yeah,
and this, that and the other. And I know that I can go to your channel. My
yeah,
dad introduced me to your channel before my PIPA assessment.
yeah. And you said your dad, bless him.
Yeah, my dad said, get this lady on the podcast. And
Oh.
the fact that my dad got a TikTok account before I did still harms it
Oh,
higher.
well. Bless him. He's just
I'm
trying to be down with the kids.
I'm not going to give you his TikTok account details because it's just him drunk dancing. Uh,
Oh, that would be fantastic. Oh, there's nothing wrong with a bit of that.
I
Don't
asked
forget, I'm probably the same age as your dad. Don't forget.
I asked him to delete one from uni once because my uni friends found my dad's TikTok account, and yeah, it wasn't fun. It was not
Oh,
fun.
bless them.
So he just found it really funny because he likes to embarrass me. But I suppose
Yeah,
parents do, but I think my dad from having a disabled daughter and a daughter with mental health conditions, even he's learning along the way from people
that's
like that.
massive.
And even he's been making his staff take autism awareness courses and hiring people with autism
Wow.
because his daughter struggles with autism.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't I work for you? And he's like, I don't want family working for me.
Oh, bless him.
Because it's like
But no, that's nice because it's like you're spreading that awareness as well, like really close to home, and that's
learned a lot from your videos as well. And he's actually shared them to some of his friends who,
that's all I want. And people said to me, I had somebody like this creator. She's not a celebrity, but she messaged me. I think she's mad about money. Um, you probably come across her. I can't remember her name. Messaged me. She said, like, why aren't you making money from doing this? And I said to her, I said, I know I could make a freaking fortune. I could, I could absolutely be fine for life by opening up a business, a service that fills in people's PIP forms for them. But that isn't okay. That doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't sit right with me because disabled people are vulnerable.
yeah,
In the word, that we are vulnerable in some way or another. We're all different levels of it, but you don't. um, It doesn't sit right with me. Is like you don't make money by preying on vulnerable people.
no.
That's not what you do. And I don't like the word preying. Do you know what I mean? And I call it out anytime I see anyone on TikTok charging people to do forms. I'm like, no, 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 no. All the information you need is here. It's available. It's for free, and it's not just my channel. It's Mr. Pip Hero as well, and Keely, who's I Am Lawsome. We do collaborate. We talk a lot
It'd be
outside
really
of
cool
TikTok.
to have all of you guys on one podcast to see
Yeah,
have a diversion conversation on PIP. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know Mr. Pip Hero would be up for it as well. He obviously remains anonymous for certain reasons. He has to. Um,
which
but
is
all the information is there, and the purpose of my channel is to empower people. Anyone who's disabled, we feel, as low as you could possibly feel on most days as it is. I've always been about empowerment and, helping people to, have a voice, remain independent, or, learn something new and do something for themselves if they can and if they want to. And that's what I've always been about, empowerment. And that's why I share what I share on TikTok, because I know it will help somebody. And all I want is for everyone that needs it to know about it.
yeah, and the amount of people
And
that
they
realize
don't make,
they're entitled to PIP. I mean, I've just told one of my friends that, oh, you might be entitled to PIP because you have autism.
yeah,
She was just like, are you sure? And I was like, I'm on PIP.
yeah,
So
yeah,
anybody who has a problem with PIP,
yeah,
PIP has helped me through so much as well. Um, it's helped me almost gain independence.
yeah. And that's what
Um,
it's supposed to be about.
Yeah,
That is what the money is for. It's for things like, say for me, like if I have an appointment at the doctor's at 9 o'clock in the morning, I can't drive my car because of the side effects of my medication.
yeah, same.
Um, I I can get a taxi and not have to worry about having to pay for it. Although I do, because we're in a cost of living crisis still. Everything's so expensive, everything's tight. We are just, still counting every penny. But if I didn't have PIP, I would have to cancel that appointment and go, common sense will prevail because I always get my appointments booked for as late as possible in the day for me, because that's when I am functional. Um, but sometimes you have to go with what they offer you. And if it's 9 o'clock in the morning and I can't drive, that's what PIP is for, is to enable us to be independent, to attend things and to live a life that, anyone else can.
For me, I personally use the PIP to help me with music therapy because that's helped me interact because I've been doing music since I was 4.
Yeah,
And, it's kind of a second way of communication that I'm
yeah,
more familiar with than
yeah,
communicating itself.
yeah,
Um, so I tend to use it towards like music therapy, kind of, music lessons just to get out and about and
yeah,
force
yeah.
yourself out and about because I think the misconception with depression as well is if people think that you're dramaing or you just want attention. But actually, when you have
You're
depression,
lazy,
yeah, you're not
you're
late.
lazy.
Everything piles up and piles up and piles up. And then, even though it might be small to somebody else to see,
It's
it's
massive
massive
to
for
you.
that person.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they could feel trapped within their own mind. And that in itself is really hard to get out of. And it's not something that you can just snap out of.
No,
You know,
no, it's not.
it's years of therapy, which therapy is crap at the moment because getting any form of therapy is a nightmare. I've even at the moment considering using my PIP to get game therapy sessions.
That's
Um,
what I'm having to do because my
mm,
my personal trauma therapy is coming to an end. I was lucky enough to find a local charity to me that took self referrals and only had a 3-month waiting list at the time because they'd had some extra lottery funding.
mm,
Um, and they are very, very local, and they only provide this therapy to local people within a postcode area.
yes,
And luckily, I fell in that catchment, and I was so lucky to find them. Even though I'd heard of them, um, I didn't know much about them. But it's great because there's like two halves. So there's the Daisy program and the Rowan project, and one is domestic violence, and one is childhood sexual abuse. So there's so much work going on within that charity, but they can only provide a free number of sessions, a
yeah,
certain number. So it was 18. That's what they provide. They want to get it extended, but again, funding comes into that. Because people enter the charity at different levels on their trauma healing journey.
yes.
And some people might be okay with 18 sessions, but if you've got deep rooted trauma, it
Childhood.
is like it is likely to take years of therapy,
Because
not 18.
I personally have deep rooted trauma from all the verbal and physical abuse that I've gone through growing up as a
Yeah,
child, being different and kind of being used to sticking out like a sore thumb. Hence why
yeah,
I don't like being the center of the tension. Uh,
yeah,
now I kind of like to swarm under the radar, do what I'm
yeah.
supposed to do, and swarm out again, lay
Yes,
low
yes,
for a while. That's
yep,
that's, that's typically what I tend to do. Um, but it's hard when I mean, I think there's for therapy through the National Health Service with the National Health Service crisis at the moment that's going on. I think it's a 7 year waiting list alone for mental health. And with
I
the
think
suicide,
that's a lottery as well. I think that depends where you live in the country.
yeah,
But I just that is what my PIP is going to be paying for. But the problem is, like I've been saying to my therapist, like I know, I'm lucky that I got the PIP award that I got. um, so I'm in a position where, I can, pay for private therapy. I said, but what people don't understand is I've spent 18 weeks building a relationship with a therapist.
yes,
You have no trust anyway, and she still doesn't know what's happened to me because I still can't get it out of my mouth. Um, and she won't push me, but it's like she said, maybe this isn't the time. I always thought it would be the time, but she said maybe it isn't. And it's really, really hard because now I feel a little bit like opening Pandora's box, and then it's like, well, what do I do now? I either keep it going without a safety cap on, or shut the box again and never talk about it ever again. Do you know what I mean? It's just the interruption is just not helpful.
no.
But
Also, when you open up, a lot of people see that vulnerability and they use it against you. And that's what I find a lot of with my past friendships is a lot of the time that people use that vulnerability side of you against
yeah,
you almost as a safety mechanism of closing up again.
yeah,
So it's I kind of call it trapdoor. Um,
yeah,
I'm kind of here, they're there, and it opens up so often. I shout through and then it kind of closes back up again.
yeah.
That's kind of how I describe trauma response. But
Mm.
obviously, like people don't seem to realize that how much PIP can actually help an individual and someone with a disability itself.
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely does. It's allowed, people I've worked with before. For instance, I used to work in homelessness, and um, I went to um, it was somewhere in East Devon. We were working somewhere. It was really rural, where people think there's no homelessness crisis in rural areas of the country. But there is.
Very,
And on top of that, you know, is everything else that comes with it.
I was in
Um,
those cases myself, so there is,
yeah, yeah, and I just I worked with this person who fully entitled to PIP, fully able to claim universal credit, but was so unwell because they had no support. They never opened their letters, so they were about to be evicted. Um, so, you know, I managed to get that stopped, the eviction stopped, because we got to this person in time to, you know, stop them literally taking the keys off of her. But, um, you know, 6 months down the line, we'd got everything kind of straightened out, and PIP had been like a massive part of that because it allowed this person to then um use that money for what they needed in order to get the home up to standard for their needs, and then slowly anything else that came in was kind of paid off with other the other benefits they were entitled to, and some funding that we managed to get, and the home was transformed compared to what it was like because they were so unwell at the time. Um, and it's such a massive part of someone's life. It's literally life or death in some situations as well.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I know that for a lot of cases, including my own, it was obviously because I was homeless myself. I was really lucky in the sense that I had a really good support network, but a lot of people don't have that.
No.
I have a mum, I have friends, I have Sandy, I have, my dad who's
Yeah.
somewhat more aware of mental health and actually will come at a spur of the moment kind of thing. And my mum's just
Yeah.
around the corner.
Yeah.
Sandy's just down the road. So it's just like I have a a circle of people that I trust
Yeah.
around, and if need be, my brother would come down. But
Yeah.
it's and his girlfriend as well is incredible as so she's learned as well just coming into the family but learning about autism and you know
Yeah.
it's really I really appreciate it when people take the time to even bother to care. I don't care if you get it right all the time. If you say the wrong thing, I'm not gonna stand there and scream at you for saying the wrong thing. I'll just
Yeah.
say it if you say it more than twice. I'll be like, I'm okay with it, but I wouldn't say that to other autistic people.
Yeah.
As a way of educating somebody, um,
Yeah.
particularly someone who's learning. I mean, my friend has carers and they come from a different culture to what we're used to. And she didn't know anything about autism. And she was telling us
No.
this stuff about autism. And I was just like, I'm actually really impressed. I mean, she struggles to speak fluent English.
Right.
I was really amazed of the fact of what she was able to state in English what
Yeah.
autism was to a group
Yeah.
of autistic people. That kind of warms the heartstrings. Um,
Yeah.
it-
And I must admit, it's not one of my strong areas, autism and ADHD. It's not.
no,
And, you know, I'd love to spend more time with, people like yourself who I know I can just openly ask a question and, you'll tell me, you know, if that's okay or not okay. Do you know what I
you
mean?
might
Because
regret
it's
saying
just,
that. You might regret saying that, Liz.
no, I don't, because that's how I learn. You only
Yes,
learn by making mistakes or asking questions.
I would also say interact yourself with lots of other people who are on the spectrum because I'm very lucky in the sense that I'm intellectual on the spectrum. I'm verbal. I can format sentences and have a structural conversation with you. My IQ's somewhat high apparently. I don't think it's as high as what the psychiatrist tried to make out, but hey ho. Um, but I'll just go with the flow. But I would always say not one autistic, that there's no two autistic people the same.
No, absolutely not. No,
My
my
friend and
my
I,
niece, my niece has got sensory autism, and
yeah,
she's just magical. She's my piece of magic dust. She's my fairy dust. I love her so much. I just think we're all different, but I would never ever want to upset anybody on, without you do you know what I mean? I would rather someone said to me, look, you know, this is how this affects me. I would rather know so that I don't do it again. Do you
yes.
know what I mean? And I just
Um,
think if we could all just be a little bit more receptive like that, do you know what I mean? And just be understanding of each other,
as my nan
that would
would
be,
say, patience is a virtue. You have
oh
to
God, yeah, patience is a virtue. My God.
you have to be just you to be understood and accepted, you have to be open to be understanding somebody else as well.
Yeah,
And that's something that I'm learning to do as well, is gain patience
we
from
all
other
are.
people with
Yeah,
disabilities, you know, and that's why I wanted to open and broaden It's Livy's World to people with all kind of disabilities because I like to learn about everybody and give everybody a chance
yeah.
to
It's all
essentially.
about equality, isn't it? We're all human. We're just different humans with different bits and pieces.
Sometimes. Sometimes. My brain sometimes misses some form of information and it kind of goes into a bit of a squash. So, but it's been lovely speaking to you, Liz. And thank you for joining
Yeah.
us for this World podcast. I think
Yeah.
it's
Anytime if, you know,
yeah,
if anyone got questions or, you know,